The Thorn Trilogy, as it's unofficially known, is not the best set of 3 movies to watch before Halloween ends, which will be in theaters and on Peacock on October 14th. But Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, and the different versions of Halloween The Curse of Michael Myers all have their own good points for both longtime fans of the series and people who have never seen any of the movies before. Here are the most frightening parts of the Thorn Trilogy. First, Firewalk with Me, and Jesus ain't got nothing to do with this place. Halloween 2 had a different mood than the first one. John Carpenter directed several scenes to make them more violent so they could compete with movies like Friday the 13th and Happy Birthday to Me, which came out around the same time. Carpenter didn't direct most of the movie, but he did write the script, and he meant for this to be Michael's last appearance on screen. At the end of the movie, Dr. Loomis sets himself and Myers on fire by setting a room full of leaking gas on fire. Laurie Strode thinks her nightmare is over until the Shape, which is completely on fire, lumbers toward her. He eventually falls down, which makes people think he's dead. Yet, one of the scariest things about the franchise is the image of Michael almost breaking the laws of nature by going after Laurie while he was on fire. The first scene of Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, is a beautiful shot of a fall scene off the highway. It brings back the style of the first movie, and then quickly moves into a basement lab operating room. The scene is shot in a creepy way, with a nurse checking the killer's pulse while Michael's actions are explained over and over again. Myers has a pulse, but the nurse doesn't know that. Also, Michael's hand falls to the side of the bed, but the nurse doesn't see it. It's a scary moment that sets up the great action scene that takes place in an ambulance. Next, Jamie's bedroom and Reverend Jackson Sayer. Just before Michael's niece, Jamie Lloyd, is introduced in Halloween 4, the paramedics who are hovering above him talk about her. They're quickly thrown away. From there, the audience meets the child, who is played by horror star Danielle Harris. A picture of Jamie Lee Curtis's character Laurie Strode almost immediately shows how important the child is. Once the picture is shown, there's a level of comfort between the audience and Jamie. This is especially true since Curtis is known more for her role as Strode than for the many other great roles she's played. Putting her right in Michael's line of fire takes away that sense of safety, and the scene's dark blue tint helps a lot with that. Halloween 4 has some of the best scenes from the whole binge-worthy horror franchise. It's a crime that this movie isn't better known, but Dr. Loomis's scene with the 80-plus-year-old preacher who likes to make prophecies and drinks hard liquor while driving is even scarier than Michael's attack at the gas chamber, or on Jamie in the costume store, the 2 scenes that precede the preacher segment. Halloween 4 knows how to go for the big moments and build up tension at the same time. It's a good movie with some good scares, even without Michael. And the way it looks reminds me of Fall, which I like. Moving on, Michael calls shotgun and roof tiles. When Michael Myers does something that can be turned into a meme, it's usually because he uses a weapon in a unique way. Once Jamie Lloyd, her older sister Rachel, and Dr. Loomis, among others, are in Sheriff Meeker's house, the action in The Revenge of Michael Myers really picks up. First, there's a deputy who's sitting in a rocking chair and holding a shotgun with a pump action, but we don't see the deputy die. The bar is raised by what comes next. Brady, Rachel's boyfriend, is cheating on her with Kelly, as shown in the movie. All of them living under the same roof makes the house tense, but nothing compares to seeing Kelly slowly walk up behind the person she thinks is the deputy. But it's Michael, and he has the shotgun, which he uses to tie Rachel to a door. Rachel and Jamie's scene on the roof is almost certainly the most suspenseful scene in Halloween 4. No matter if you like slasher movies or not, Rachel's care for her adopted little sister sounds as real as the character growth in any Oscar-nominated tearjerker. When Jamie is hanging by what amounts to a thread, and Rachel is holding onto the tiles above her to avoid Michael's butcher knife swings, the tension is at its highest. Luckily, the scene is only as good as its actors, and both Ellie Cornell and Harris seem to have no trouble selling the intense life or death scene. Next up, the unfulfilled promise of Jamie Lloyd's destiny and Rollin' on the River. Early on, it's clear, and well documented, that the people in charge weren't sure how popular Michael Myers would be. It seems silly now, since David Gordon Green's Trilogy has done so well again and again at the box office. But to be fair, New Line recast Freddy Krueger for A Nightmare on Elm Street 2: Freddy's Revenge, and the people who made the Friday the 13th movies didn't realize how much money Jason could bring in until he got his mask in Part 3. Halloween Ends is the most important sequel since the first one in 1978, for more than one reason. The franchise's ability to change is one of the best things about it. Even though it's arguably the most basic horror saga out there, there's always going to be a draw to new movies that try to look like old ones. When it comes to expectations, going in the opposite direction can be bad. At least for Halloween. The best example is at the end of Halloween 4, when Jamie Lloyd seems to turn into her uncle. It's a sad ending, because she's such a likable character, but Halloween 5 quickly breaks down the scene's impact and makes it pointless. Halloween 5 starts with the end of Halloween 4's two-part story. It's a nice bit of continuity that doesn't last long, because the fifth installment moves at a pace that varies between slow and fast, and doesn't care about the goodwill built by the last one. But before Michael kills Rachel quickly in the first act of Halloween 4, which is scary for all the wrong reasons and doesn't bode well for the rest of the movie, there's a cool shot of him struggling to pull himself into a fast-moving river. It's a moment of weakness for the usually stone-cold character, but when he's found by a kind old man living alone, it gives the audience a good chill. The audience knows what will happen next. It's scary that they don't want it to happen. We can't leave out in broad daylight, and hey, that's my car. In Halloween 5, Michael Myers knows he has a bad name, but he doesn't care. Take a conversation between the main character of the movie, Tina, and her friend Samantha. Michael just walks onto the front lawn when it's fully light out and listens to the two young women talk about how Halloween should be banned. He does nothing but stand there between two trees. There have been other times when Michael has followed someone, but in the fifth entry, he does it in a way that stands out. Also, Don Shanks, who plays the main bad guy in Halloween 5, gives him a natural strut that fits the character much better than his really scary mask. Mike is much more important to the story of Halloween 5 now that he's dead than when he was alive. Mike is introduced as Tina's cold-hearted boyfriend who loves his car more than his girlfriend. Mike goes crazy when a friend scratches it with a nail. So Michael's reaction is through the roof when he takes a cultivator and drags it across the back hood. But this feeling doesn't last long. The best part of the movie comes next, and it might be scarier than the sudden death that came before it. Michael puts on Mike's mask and pretends to be Tina's dead boyfriend to give her a ride. It's a great way to build up tension and gives the audience a good reason to be on edge. Finally, sacrificing babies. Both The Curse of Michael Myers and Halloween 2 are considered to be part of the Halloween franchise. The first is the choppy, obviously over-edited version that was shown in theaters. The other version is called the producer's cut, and it was released a very long time after the theatrical version. In this version, a lot of the Thorn-related scenes that were omitted from the theatrical version have been reinserted. The producer's cut brings the story one step closer to making sense, but it also reveals why the cult motif on its own was not successful for Halloween. Simply put, Michael Myers is a puzzling figure. Still, a cult is sacrificing a baby, which is scarier than a man wearing a painted costume of William Shatner. This is true regardless of which version of the story a person sees. Well, that's it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Till next time, cheers.